It isn't just Pinterest. Now, a popular knitting website, Ravelry, which I've never heard of, has banned support for Donald Trump. I have the story from The Guardian. I also have their tweet and their official statement, and they directly state that support for Trump is basically white supremacy, and because of that, anybody who expresses support will be permanently banned. And there's even a tweet from someone apparently showing a message they got when they were banned for simply saying that there were some things about Trump they admired. That was it. Now, a lot of people will say something like this. Pinterest, what's that? Who cares that it's banning pro-lifers? Ravelry, well, who cares about that? It's a knitting website? Who cares if they're banning Trump supporters? It's going to start small. It's going to start with these companies. Admittedly, the big companies do engage in this activity. The next segment I'm going to be covering is the Project Veritas story. If you're not familiar, Project Veritas just published information from a Google insider revealing that, yes, Google is censoring and throttling people potentially. It's complicated. But he's got a lot of documents showing that Google is trying to push their politics on everything. So that's obviously happening. But the overt public actions are coming from websites that people probably won't care about. You know why? Because then in a year from now, when more companies come out banning Trump support, then when Facebook or Twitter does it, people are going to be like, yeah, but supporting Trump is already banned across the board. I feel like these actions are going to rapidly escalate cultural tensions and result in massive regulation of all tech companies. So if I was going to be like Google or Facebook, I'd hit up these little companies and be like, dude, seriously, stop. Because this is what gets conservatives to start passing laws. We already saw Josh Hawley propose a bill that would strip Section 230 protections from tech giants, from social media companies. This could impact everybody. And when you see this, supporting Trump is a bannable offense, I assure you, there's going to be Trump supporters calling their congressmen and saying, you got to do something about this. I predicted this months ago when I was talking to Twitter's people. Regulation is coming. I'm going to sneeze, but let's read the story. White supremacy. Popular knitting website Ravelry bans support for Trump. Administrators take action to ensure site is inclusive of all, except Trump supporters apparently, and any minority who might support the president. One of the biggest knitting websites in the world, which claims to have more than 8 million members, has announced that it will ban users from expressing support from Donald Trump, saying that to do so constitutes white supremacy. 8 million users, not too big, wouldn't be subject to Josh Hawley's regulation. Still, 8 million people is substantial. My understanding is that they're the biggest knitting website in the world, I guess. Look, again, I'll stress, it may seem like it's not a big deal. Who cares about a knitting website? But it starts small, and you got to nip it in the bud. That's where the saying comes from. Get it when it's small before it goes out of control. On Sunday, administrators for Ravelry, a site for knitters, crocheters, designers, and anyone dabbling in the fiber arts, said that they were making any expression of support for Trump and his administration in forum posts, patterns, or on their or on personal profile pages or elsewhere permanently off limits. We cannot provide a space that is inclusive for all and also allow support for open white supremacy. Support of the Trump administration is undeniably support for white supremacy. So this is part of the semantic campaign to change what white supremacy means on purpose, because no one would ever dare claim they would support it. White supremacy has a simple definition academically and in modern society. It means that you believe the white people are genetically superior. That's not true at all, and it's a silly belief. However, what they're doing now is claiming that anybody who supports the president is also a white supremacist. We've seen the far left pushing this on purpose, because then you'll get to a point where when enough people say, no, it's not about supporting the white race or believing they're superior. It's about institutional power. It's about the government. They're gonna seriously, they already say the U.S. government is a white supremacist organization. They want to get to the point where enough people say it and no one will ever agree to be a part of it. The words to freak people out. Because here's the thing. Right now you got the fringe weirdos who manipulate the definition like this. No, supporting Trump is not white supremacy. But now if someone comes out and says they banned white supremacy, what are you going to do? The average normie, a person who's not initiated in politics or anything like that, is going to hear they banned white supremacy and they're going to say, so what? So did Facebook. Not realizing it's literally a conflation of supporting the president. You see how the game is being played? It's being played a very specific way. Facebook claims they're getting rid of, white supremacy and all that stuff. And then once this website pushes, the change in definition, Facebook can eventually get rid of support for the president and you will not see his posts. This is how they are gaming politics. And it's so funny to me when I say giant corporations need to be regulated because they're manipulating public discourse and gaming our elections. What do I hear? Crickets. Users could also be permanently banned under the policy. The Trump ban comes only months after political upheaval gripped the knitting and crochet community around issues of racial and cultural insensitivity. The debate was sparked by popular knitwear designer and blogger Karen Templer, who wrote in January about a planned trip to India, likening it in her excitement to visiting Mars. Many in the craft community objected to that characterization, calling it othering and reductive. Can I get them a mirror? Would you like a mirror to look into about othering? Seriously? That means they view people as others and outsiders, not human. What do you think they're doing now? God, these people are insane. Templer apologized soon afterwards, but the incident had a ripple effect, sparking off conversations about diversity and inclusivity in the craft community on Instagram, Ravelry, and other places that crafters congregate online. A similar debate about cultural sensitivity and appropriation recently occurring in the sewing community. So Ravelry tweeted, "We are banning support of Donald Trump and his administration on Ravelry. We cannot provide a space that is inclusive of all and also allows support for open white supremacy." You see how they conflate the two, as I stated. Ravelry said its new policy was not banning participation from people who supported Trump, only expression of that support. And this is where it begins. "We are not endorsing the Democrats nor banning Republicans," the Post said. "We are definitely not banning conservative politics. Hate groups and intolerance are different from other types of political positions. They're playing a game. They're going to change what it all means. This is what's happening." No. We're just saying hate groups. They already consider half of the conservative views to be hate groups. They're saying now the president is white supremacy. They're playing a game where they're trying to have it both ways. No, you can be a conservative, just don't support the president. Oh, then who do you support? Plain and simple. The policy drew on a similar statement made last year by role-playing game site RPG.net, which banned advocacy of Trump from its forums on the grounds that the Trump administration was an elected hate group. His public comments, policies, and the makeup of his administration are so wholly incompatible with our values that formal political neutrality is not tenable. We can be welcoming to persons of every ethnicity who want to talk about games, or we can allow support for open white supremacy, not both. The knitting and crochet community has played a prominent role in the anti-Trump movement in the past, with women wearing homemade pink hats to demonstrations around his election and inauguration becoming a distinctive symbol of protest against his presidency. So here's the official statement they made. Let me zoom in a little bit. This is from yesterday. "We are banning support of Donald Trump and his administration on Ravelry. This includes support in the form of forum posts, projects, patterns, profiles, and all other content. Note that your project data will never be deleted. We will never delete your Ravelry project data for any reason, and if a project needs to be removed from the site, we will make sure that you have access to your data. If you are permanently banned from Ravelry, you will still be able to access any patterns that you purchase. Also, we will make sure that you received a copy of your data. We cannot provide a space that is inclusive of all and allows support for open white supremacy. Support of the Trump administration is undeniably support for white supremacy. And welcome to your future." Donald Trump's policy positions. Some of them are a bit more aggressive than we've seen in the past. Many of them fall in line with where the Democrats were 10 years ago. These people have lost the plot. Bernie Sanders currently agrees that we should not have open borders because there's too many poor people. But he seems to contradict himself in many ways. Trump calling for a border barrier that's 30 feet high and a big, beautiful concrete wall is an extreme version of the border policies that were being enacted by Democrats 10 years ago. But where Trump has settled today is around the same place as Democrats 10 years ago. What happened in the past 10 years? The rise of insane rage bait nonsense that drove people out of their minds. The average person doesn't care about this. But the tech industry is continually being infected by identitarianism. They are trying to use Trump and conflate with white supremacy to push an identitarian political agenda. And it's nightmarish. So let me say this as a person who was a victim of white supremacy, whose families faced the brunt of it for 2 generations, and who actually had his home vandalized. You people at Ravelry are racists and bigots, and I think you're evil people. What you're doing here is either a complete and overt act of sheer ignorance, which I can imagine is possible, or you're purposefully trying to manipulate language to belittle what happened to my family over the past several generations. The Trump supporters of today, who openly support people of all races, are not the same people who threaten my family. And to act like they are does a disservice to the actual victims of white supremacy, and I am personally disgusted by it. This is actually rather rage-inducing. What bothers me the most is the overt manipulation to trick you into supporting an agenda instead of actually having a comprehensive conversation around issues that would make more sense. This is absurdity, ignorance, and insanity as far as you ask me. But you know what? I've said it. It's only going to get worse. If you've been watching my videos over the past couple of years, I have said it time and time again. The escalation is coming. Wait till you think Ravelry is bad? Go watch the Veritas video and then stick around at 4 p.m. because I'm going to address a lot of what happened because I'm directly implicated in their story as their insider named me personally. So Ravelry, 8 million users. But what about when Google is doing it? And they are. Stick around. The next segment will be at 4 p.m. For those in the podcast, you've already heard it because I changed the layout. But 4 p.m., youtube.com/Timcast. It is a different channel from this one, and I will see you there.